I was on the way down and I could feel the bike was following me over. It's just that there was nothing I could do.
Yeah, no, I'm going up to Bob Creek to collect some traps. But, you know, I should be back in time, give or take an hour or 3.
The survival expert regularly heads into the mountains alone and makes no firm plans about his return with his family and friends.
Well, listen, if I don't show, we'll do it when Lil's back, okay?
Ken is a registered animal trapper, and this trip is to check up on beaver traps that he set the day before.
We trap to keep a good, healthy population of animals. And beavers are a rodent. The goal is to try and keep beavers from overpopulating.
Ken loves the great outdoors, and nothing stops him from enjoying this vast wilderness, not even his disabled leg.
I had polio. I had over 20 operations when I was a child. I mean, I was never supposed to walk. I threw the braces away and everything else, and I said, I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna do whatever normal people do.
Getting around this remote region is a real challenge, and Ken's trusty steed is his 4-wheel quad bike.
The terrain is very rugged. The country is very mountainous. The hills are very, very steep. And there are a lot of places on my trap line that people, even that are good quarters, they wouldn't even tackle.
Today's ride is even more dangerous. Ken's bike is carrying a lot of extra weight.
My quad, without any fuel in it, and that weighs 600 pounds. The beavers, 35 and 50 pounds a piece. Then the 3 gallons of gas, yeah, pretty close to 1,000 pounds. A small pickup truck would probably weigh that.
The temperature drops below 0, and the wind picks up. So Ken calls it a day.
The wind was blowing at least 80 kilometers an hour. It was stuff blowing in my face as I was trying to drive. It was blowing up small rocks. All of a sudden, I felt this sharp pain in the eye, and I blinked, and I felt like a piece of grass in my eye. And the second I let go of my handlebars, I grabbed a hold of this piece of grass. And the bike started going up and over. I was on the way down, and I could feel the bike was following me over. It's just that there was nothing I could do. It felt to me like I was fast enough that I was getting out of the way, but then, wham, it was so fast. It just knocked me right face first into the dirt. And then I felt this excruciating pain in my leg. I could feel my foot. I could feel my ankle just totally dislocating and the bones were breaking. I almost threw up just from the pain. The steel rack rammed me in the smaller part of the back and drove me down and knocked the wind out of me. The pain was from my ankle and in the calf of my leg. I couldn't push and lift myself enough to move the bike. No matter how I tried to move my legs, I couldn't.
The heavily laden quad has pinned Ken to the ground in the middle of nowhere. As a paramedic with the local rescue unit, Ken's first instinct is to try to assess the severity of his injuries.
I took my pulse. My pulse was at 160. It was bounding. I could feel, so my blood pressure must have been up high because I could really feel my pulse. My skin was pale. If I pinched it, it was slow to come back to normal. It took 5 seconds for my color to go back in my finger, so I knew that I was in shock. Pain and the anxiety was causing me to make my heart rate go up. So I knew I had to slow myself down so that I could rationalize, I could think properly.
Ken learned how to deal with pain as a child, fighting polio.
I kind of mentally block it out. It's amazing how much pain I can actually block out.
Ken cannot reach his legs, which took the full impact of the crash. And he can only imagine the kind of damage that's been done.
My first assumption was that, yes, I dislocated my ankle for sure, possibly crushed it. I thought that maybe I had done a lot of damage to my right knee because it hurt like hell. My polio leg is not very big. I can actually put my hand around it like this. When it smashed down into that ground, I thought for sure that knee was done.
The weight of Ken's quad bike and survival gear exerts enormous pressure on his injured legs, causing excruciating pain. It crushes his good right leg against his weaker polio leg, cutting off the circulation from his calf to his foot. Ken knows that to avoid permanent damage, he needs to act fast.
My first reaction was, I need to get out from underneath the quad, even if I've broken my leg. So I looked around and tried to see if there's any sticks or anything I could grab.
All of Ken's gear is still strapped to the quad. Only his axe has fallen clear during the crash. But it's tantalizingly just out of reach. Ken's survival instinct kicks in.
I always carry this fire starter around my neck and a compass on a string.
Getting his hands on the axe could mean the difference between life and death. To Ken, the axe is his only means of escape.
It took me several tries or more to finally catch the butt of the axe handle. I thought right away, well, maybe I can use my axe as a leverage to push the quad off of me.
But, trapped face down, it's impossible for Ken to get enough leverage on the axe handle to lift the quad.
Now I think, okay, I'm stuck here. I'm actually trapped. But when you're in that situation, you got to try something, and if that don't work, you got to try something else. I was thinking, well, if I can reduce the weight on the quad, maybe I'll have a better chance of getting out from underneath it.
But every strike causes agonizing pain to Ken's injured body as he tries to knock the heavy gear from the quad.